What is up? What is up? So, pretty much one story to talk about today, but there is a little bit of another story to talk about. Brandon Clemens has won his appeal. So that means Brandon Clemens is now in the Xfinity Series playoffs. Jeremy Clements, sorry. He is in the playoffs, though. So the underfunded team has now made the playoffs. So that is good for the Xfinity Series team. But of course, the big news, Kyle Busch is going to RCR. It is finally official. They finally made it official today. So let's see what you guys think about that. He said he will be taking his truck team to Xfinity. Brexton Busch was offered a future contract, which was pretty cool. And we got to figure out who's going in the 18. Most likely that is going to be Ty Gibbs. No doubt about that. Ty Gibbs pretty much has that locked up. But so many little details are coming out. Kyle Busch said let's see. He said Joe Gibbs basically at one point told him that he was no longer coming back to JGR. So it sounds like Joe Gibbs made that decision for him. Just a lot of stuff going on with that. Jump into some of these comments and see what is going on. Is it ironic that Kyle went into what was Dale's old team? I don't know. I don't know if that's ironic, but it is ironic that he is now the number 8 car. Of course, back in the day, Dale Jr. driving the 8, and basically those two drivers were swapped. And Kyle Busch made a couple of cracks about people with 8 tattoos now having to get an 88 tattoo. So now you got some guys with 18 tattoos that have to get an 8 tattoo or figure out some way to make that work. So that is definitely ironic. Let's see here. I think we shouldn't talk about Busch a long time. I'm tired of hearing his name every week, says Jonathan W. Yeah, there will be, obviously there will have to be some like ancillary videos, but I'm not going to make it a huge emphasis. I'm going to try to get one video that encapsulates all of the fallout from this. But I did the quick one, the quick update today. Then I had to go and work another job, which is where I edited the video. So for all of you who are wondering what happened to the music will be back after today. I just didn't have that particular file with me where I was editing the video, but all that stuff will come back. It'll go back to red and yellow. I'm not going to do pink and whatever. I don't even remember what colors I did, pink and blue. So we'll go back to normal from there. But I will make one more video talking about the fallout, all the stuff that goes along with him going to RCR. And all the people that have to replace him over at Joe Gibbs Racing. And what Toyota is going to do. Looks like Toyota has made the decision to get young. So they're going to go young. But it also kind of doesn't make sense because they re-signed Martin Truex. So I don't fully buy that. I just think for whatever reason they wanted to get off of Kyle Busch. So I think it seems to me that Toyota wanted to keep him and Joe Gibbs Racing wanted to get off of him. And I don't think it's a strategy to go young because, like I said, they re-signed Martin Truex Jr. So it just seems like they had run the course with Kyle Busch, and once he no longer had a sponsor, they were more than happy to get rid of him. That's just what it seems like to me. That is my opinion. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they tried really hard. And I say that because RCR signed Kyle Busch, and now they already basically have sponsors lined up for him. So it just seems like there wasn't a whole lot of effort made from Joe Gibbs Racing to re-sign him. Chris R., what's going on, buddy? Hope all is well. All is well today, Chris R. Glad you jumped on here. The story that's been massively undercovered, it's not even been talked about really, is Underdog winning the appeal. Jeremy Clements won. Let's go. I'm always happy when underdogs win. I actually started it off with that today, Moulton. So yes, I did talk about it and talk about it today. But that story is definitely going to get overshadowed because everybody's been waiting for the Kyle Busch thing to become official. We've pretty much known for a long time he's going to RCR, but I didn't want to talk about it until it was official because I was basically just really tired of talking about it. And after today, I'll probably make one video tonight. And after today and tonight and tomorrow's video, I'll probably be done with it. Back in 2007, the spring race, Dale finished the race in the number 5 after Kyle left the track. So that, yeah, I forgot about that, but I do remember it now that you brought that up. RJ Banzma, number 68, brought that up. Yeah, for sure. I do remember that. I had forgotten about that moment. Douglas Serrano says, hi, Double B. What's going on, Douglas? Hope you're doing good today. X-Dude2, happy for RCR. Go KFB. So that's another thing. A lot of people that were anti-Kyle Busch were really, I guess, anti-Toyota, because there's a lot more Kyle Busch fans today than there were yesterday, it seems like. I am interested to see how the diehard Toyota guys look at this. It'll sort of be like when Kevin Harvick went to Ford, sort of like when Dale Jarrett went to Toyota. One of those situations, how many of those fans stick loyal to Toyota and how many of those fans go with Kyle Busch? I think that's going to be an interesting thing to follow. Gerard Walraven, what's going on, man? See, missed a couple. RCR has a future now, says Jonathan W. Yeah, well, they lost Tyler Reddick. They had a future, but once they lost Tyler Reddick, it was not looking good. But they did sign Toyota's main guy. That's another thing. Like, Toyota has spent so much money advertising him. If you look at the main Toyota commercial this year, it's Kyle Busch handing the keys to these other guys. So you had to think that these younger kids that are coming up in the Toyota development program, you have to think Toyota had long-term plans for Kyle Busch to retire with Toyota, but for whatever reason, it wasn't working out. It seems like at Joe Gibbs, because I don't feel like Joe Gibbs put up the hardest effort that they could put up to retain him. Michael Honeychuck says, well, changing the 1 and the 18 is easy, but I cannot say what to do. LOL. Yeah, for sure. I don't know how they're going to get around that. Maybe just put a circle around it and incorporate the 1 into the circle. But it's also a different font, so I don't know. It's going to be some laser removal and some cover up art for sure. One thing I'm tired of seeing is people throw shade at RCR for potentially doing Reddick dirty when what he did kind of ultimately was BS. He could have waited until after Phoenix to announce anything. Yeah, so a lot of people are like, oh, Tyler Reddick's in this terrible situation. I feel terrible for Tyler Reddick. To an extent, I understand where they're coming from, but he also kind of made his bed. He made a business decision for his best interest. He did it in an untimely manner because he should have, in my opinion, talked to Richard Childress Racing first after he had already signed the deal and just told him so they could organize something. They could organize a statement instead of just telling him 30 minutes before he announced it. That was kind of rough. So he made a business decision that was the best for him, which is 100% his right. And him going to 2311, that could be a very good move. 2311 looks very strong right now. RCR looks very strong right now too. A lot of people are saying RCR is mid-tier. RCR with 2 cars has 1 less win than Joe Gibbs Racing right now. So I think RCR has been really fast this year. You can say what you want to about Austin Dillon, but Tyler Reddick has been fast. He probably should have won 3 or 4 races. 2 of which the Goodyear tire failed, 1 of which Chase Briscoe threw the crazy move and it didn't work out. But Tyler Reddick ultimately made his decision, and then RCR has made their decision. So this whole uncomfortable year is basically Tyler Reddick had a contract, and then he went and signed another contract for the year after. So there was always going to be an uncomfortable year. This was a decision that Tyler Reddick made. So I don't think he should necessarily be shocked or upset by this because he made this decision a long time ago. And when he announced that he made that decision, it's like F1. When these guys know they're leaving, they know they're in a weird situation. So he set himself up for that. So it's going to be awkward. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, he's the one that signed both of those contracts within a few months of each other. So I don't know. Bumblebee says he kind of gets what comes back around, in my opinion. I mean, yeah. I mean, however you want to look at it, he was excited to make his decision. He was excited to announce it. And so now that you've made that decision, you have to sort of deal with the consequences because RCR had to make a move to shore up and build for the future. And that's what they did. So now you got a weird situation. But I think 3 cars, as long as they keep 3 cars for a long time, is going to help RCR out in the long run. So it's all going to work out. I don't think next year will be quite as awkward as a lot of people think. I think they're all going to be trying to do their best. RCR doesn't want the cars to look bad. Tyler Reddick doesn't want to run bad. So in spite of themselves, they might not love each other right now, but they're both going to work really hard to make that deal work. So I don't think it'll be quite as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. It'll just sort of be socially uncomfortable, which can be bad for your mental health. But I don't think the performance will be affected a whole lot. Not to mention RCR gets KBM and trucks, says RJ. Yeah, I think that's a big deal too. Chevrolet now has a really strong truck team. So I think that's going to be huge. Toyota loses a really big truck team. Two Penny Puppet, what's going on? Made it on time. Good to see you made it on time. That's awesome. Mark Barnum, KFB was a cash cow for Gibbs, and the cash ran out. See you later, KFB. Just like Danica, says Mark Barnum. That's a good way of putting it. Once the money ran out, I don't think they were interested in keeping him. That's just my opinion, but that's just what it seems like, because RCR was able to get sponsors pretty quickly, and the whole story all along was Kyle Busch wants too much money and we can't find sponsors for him. Well, Kyle Busch came out in this press conference and said it wasn't about money, and RCR found sponsors pretty quick. So that particular excuse from Joe Gibbs Racing or Toyota or whoever was making that excuse doesn't seem to hold water. So for Jeremy Clements, he deserved to win. Again, it's always amazing to see the underdog win. But the appeal, welcome to NASCAR Xfinity Playoffs, Jeremy. Make yourself feel at home. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's going to be a great storyline. Hopefully he can get another win in the Xfinity Series playoffs and make a run. Like, hopefully he's not out in the first round. Chris R says, I think change is good, and I think you'll see he will be happier in the radio and in the public everywhere. So it's going to be different, but at the end of the day, it's racing and they all want to win. Says Chris R. I think so too. I think everybody will be cool next year. I don't think it'll be this big. I think people are fearing it more in their head. They're building it up to be a bigger deal in their head than it actually is going to be. I think everybody will be cool. The only thing that's really sort of going to be different is Randall Burnett is now Kyle Busch's crew chief, and Tyler Reddick will have to work with a different crew chief. So that's going to be interesting to see there. But Richard Childress made a good point. He said, I'm building for the future. I'm not interested in one-year deals. So there you have it. But also he picked up the option on Tyler Reddick, which was almost a one-year deal, which would be Toyota's Toyota fans' counter to that. So fair play, turnabout is fair play on that particular comment. But he wants to build for the future. So he put Randall Burnett with Kyle Busch because they want that to be the long-term deal for that 8 car. I wonder how many F. Kyle Busches we'll hear in the stands now during driver intros, says Jonathan W. That is going to be very interesting. So typically the 3 guys that get booed the most are Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Bubba Wallace. I'm thinking we're going to hear less boos for Kyle Busch now than normal. And possibly you could start hearing less boos for Bubba Wallace as well. So Denny Hamlin has a chance to sort of take over that reign as most hated driver. But those are typically the guys that get the most boos when they're introduced, at least at the races I go to. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Of course, different regions, different drivers get booed, but in this region, those are the 3 that I always hear booed the loudest. Tony Stewart didn't go, and Ty Gibbs, but I was at Martinsville, so you have to factor that in. But Ty Gibbs got booed louder than any driver I've ever heard in my life. But that was, of course, right after he wrecked somebody. So it is what it is. So it'll be interesting to see Ty Gibbs, who I expect to be in that 18, and I think everybody expects to be in that 18. He's another guy that could get some boos. I'm also interested to see how Ty Gibbs will be received in that 18 car, because a lot of people said when Kyle Busch retires, I'm going to pull for Ty Gibbs. But now that Ty Gibbs is the guy that replaces Kyle Busch before he retires, I wonder if they have that same feeling. I don't know. To me, it doesn't affect anything. I still think Ty Gibbs is going to be pretty good. I don't know if he'll ever be as good as Kyle Busch. That'll be a really hard feat to accomplish. But I don't really see any difference as long as he keeps it together and, sort of does his thing or whatever like that. I think it'll be sort of whatever. Gerard says, I saw an interview after the announcement where Kyle said since about 2019 he wasn't having fun at JGR anymore. Interesting to see how 2019 was a championship year. Yeah, Joe Gibbs Racing is very much like a business, in my opinion. Like I don't work there. I'm not part of their culture or anything like that. But it seems very much like a very cut and dry business. Like once they move on from you, they're done with you and on to the next driver. So I just feel like it can sometimes be a really cold place. But in other situations like Denny Hamlin and Coach Gibbs, that seems like a very family-oriented situation. Whenever they win, they pray afterwards. So, I mean, there's definitely elements of a family atmosphere, but you also see these other moments where it seems very cold. and businesslike. So it's a different situation. Jeremy Clemens' mission in the playoffs is stay away from Riley Herbst at Las Vegas. Like, get away from him. Says Molten Rage. Yeah, I can see that happening. Danny B, what's up, Danny B? To that point, if Reddick never tells RCR he's out after Phoenix, who knows if RCR would have ever been able to get Kyle Busch. Might be a win-win for both. Yeah, that's a great point. Excuse me. That's a great point, and I meant to bring that up. Got something stuck. That is a really good point. If this never happened, if Reddick doesn't have this sort of gap year, lame duck year, whatever you'd like to call it, does RCR make this move to get Kyle Busch? The answer is absolutely no, because the only reason Austin Dillon thought about this and mentioned it to his grandfather, who was Richard Childress, just in case you didn't know, is because they knew somebody was leaving from that 8-car. They did not have plans to expand to a 3-car team before this happened. So I think in hindsight, Tyler Reddick gets to RCR. He makes RCR better throughout his time with RCR. And then, if you even want to say in spite of himself, the way he leaves RCR, he makes RCR better when he leaves too, because not only are they expanding, it seems like, to a 3-car team, but you get the best Toyota driver that has ever been in Kyle Busch to come over there and help build that RCR program. So yeah, Danny B, I always appreciate him hanging out with us, man. And that was an awesome comment. 100%. It's always two sides to the coin when it comes to those deals. So Rolex, oh, that was pretty funny too. Bigfoot and Deadheads, Rolex at least needs to sponsor one race, he says, for sure. And I like the fact that they incorporated that Rolex watch into sort of the announcement or whatever. He's like, I forgot to give you your bonus. Here's your bonus. And he hands him a Rolex watch and he says, hold my watch. So that sort of puts the end note on that particular storyline. So that was pretty cool too. But yeah, definitely Rolex. They could get in there for some sponsorship. I think that would go over pretty well. I don't know how many people are going to buy Rolexes because of that, but it would at least give you a positive outlook on the brand, which when you get to that level, that's all brands are looking for. I'm going to swing different for a sec. What's been going on with Larson's team? I mean, his finishes are there, but he seems like he's having subpar cars coming back to the track with. Yeah, he seems to be a little bit off. He's getting good finishes. He's probably driving the car just probably 2 or 3 spots better than it normally is. This is very similar to what we saw him do at Ganassi Racing when he was with them. But it seems like they don't quite have that raw speed that they have had in the past. So that'll be something to look for. And it's not just him. It seems like all of Hendrick is lacking that raw speed. Alex Bowman had shoot-off speed at Kansas, but he didn't have long-run speed. That's why I think he should, if he had short pitted, he could have made that race really interesting. Alex Bowman really could have made that race interesting if they had short pitted there, but they decided not to do that. But aside from Bowman at that race, Hendrick Motorsports does not seem like they have had sort of the raw speed that they had in the early part of the season. And we see this every year. There's always one team that seems to be, when the playoffs come around, seems to be out of the loop or whatever you want to call it, not quite as good as they were in the first round. So, but to me, it's sort of been a hodgepodge anyway. I haven't seen anybody run consistently good since the playoffs have started. And even as we got closer to the playoffs, all these teams that were good all year long, I haven't seen them run as good as you would normally see them run. So I think this thing's going to be an absolute toss-up, crapshoot, whatever you want to call it. I don't think anybody's got a handle on this particular car yet. And evidenced by the fact that 2 cars that are not even in the chase have won the first 2 chase or playoffs. I keep calling it the chase because I'm old, but they're still not in the. They still haven't won a playoff race yet. So that's well, technically, I guess you could say the 45. The car was in there, even though it was a different driver that got him into the playoffs. So however you want to look at it, but let's see. Chris R says, and also heard some issues on the radio with spotters and crew and him. That could be sort of an issue. That's always been an issue with Kyle. So that might be one of the reasons they moved away from him. That's for sure. I mean, that's part of it. That's been part of the conversation the whole time. I'm excited about Kyle and RCR, and I told you it would be the 8-car. Also, I love your statement about Bubba's win and moving forward without him being labeled as a winner and not about his race, says Roger Dale. Yeah, I think so too. Hopefully it's just about drivers from here on out. Hopefully he has put an end to that conversation with 2 wins now and one that nobody can really reasonably say he didn't win. Some people, you know, they pull for other drivers, and they're always going to have something to say about a driver winning a race. So it is what it is. Shame JGR couldn't resign KB or resign KB. Says Douglas Serrano. Yeah, that's really a bummer. Even to me, like I was bummed when M&M's announced that they were going to leave, because I always wanted to see Kyle Busch go out, sort of like Richard Petty went out with STP. Kyle Busch goes out with the M&M's car in the 18, driving a Toyota his whole career, but it didn't work out that way. It sort of went like how it went. It is what it is. It didn't have the storybook ending we all wanted. But life rarely has a storybook ending, and yeah, I feel you, Douglas Serrano. I'm kind of bummed about it too. But if he had to leave Joe Gibbs Racing, I'm super glad he went to RCR. So RCR Homer, Richard Petty or Petty GMS Homer. I've been calling it Richard Petty Motorsports all week this week. So sorry if I've messed up. Petty GMS. For whatever reason, I've gotten it right all season. Now mid-season, I'm reverting back. So Bowman not making the round of 12, says Tyler Cannon. I don't know about that. He might not. He's streaky. He could go out and win. He's been the fastest Hendrick car that I've seen speed wise. He just doesn't have that long run speed. A lot of people shouting out Danny B, which is cool. Danny B's a really good dude. Really wished Busch had the number 3 car, but the 8 works. Only McLaren fan 720 GT3 says. Yeah, it would be cool to see him just for several reasons. See him drive the 3, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, he's in the 8 car, and to an extent, the 8 car kind of makes more sense because at least you still got that 8 associated with Kyle Busch. He was the 18, now he's the 8, so it sort of works from that. But really, honestly, I wanted to see him come in there and drive the 51. That would have been the coolest. If he was going to take an RCR number, I would have rather see him take the 29 and then switch over to another number. Just because I wanted some throwback 29 schemes, but that's just selfish, me being an RCR homer. Austin Hill will 100%. Yeah, Austin Hill's definitely, in my opinion, I'm not going to say definitely, but I feel like Austin Hill's got a strong case to fill in for the car that Tyler Reddick leaves when he leaves for good. So Austin Hill, I think, will definitely be the 3rd car there. Kyle is back and focused and might win the championship, says Roger Dale. Yeah, I think more than anything, this is going to give him extra motivation. Not that he needs extra motivation, not that he's never unfocused, but he's going to be more focused than normal, trying to prove a point that he's going to be trying to outrun the Joe Gibbs car. Just like when he got to Joe Gibbs, he made it a point to try to outrun the Hendrick cars. I think it's going to be the exact same thing. Instead of Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch, it's now going to be Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch. That's definitely going to be a storyline going forward. Give us your fantasy picks for this weekend, Bologna Burger. Say Kyle, not Cal. Well, it's Bristol, so you got to go with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is really good at Bristol. I like Chase Elliott's pretty good at Bristol. Kevin Harvick's really good at Bristol. And Kyle Larson is really good at Bristol. Don't sleep on Bubba Wallace. I said that last week, and he came through. So Bubba Wallace, that's one of the tracks he's really good at, is Bristol, Martinsville, super speedways, and certain 1.5 miles that suit him, as you saw last weekend. So those would be the main ones I would look at. I'm trying to think of somebody else. There's another couple of guys that are good at Bristol that I'm leaving out, but just off the top of my head, without looking at statistics or anything like that, those would definitely have to be some of the guys you look at for your fantasy team there. Let's see. L7 Wee says Denny Hamlin. SF Denny Hamlin, I hear you. Let's see. L7 Weenie. That's the what was that movie? Sandlot. That's a Sandlot reference. RJ Bansma hollering at Danny. Bumblebee hollering at Danny. Danny B, well received here, and like I said, he is a good dude, and he said hey back, so that's awesome, proving he's a good dude. I wonder if Brett will be KFB spotter, who will be Reddick spotter, says Mark Barnum. That's a good question, and I also wonder, Jason Alexander leaving RCR, did that have anything to do with Kyle Busch coming over? Just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of questions you can ask from this situation, because Justin Alexander announced Jason Alexander. I guess that's the guy from Seinfeld. Justin Alexander announcing he's leaving RCR. Did that have anything to do with Kyle Busch coming over? That's a question that slipped by the media. They didn't ask that one today. Let's see. Joe Gibbs runs his organization like he coached football. It's all about the results, says Jonathan W. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I mentioned that on another live stream. Joe Gibbs was never afraid to get rid of talent once he saw that that talent was on a decline, no matter how much that player was beloved. And I really, the longer and longer this Kyle Busch situation went on, I felt like that was the case. I always felt like Joe Gibbs Racing wasn't into this unless it was a value pick for them or a value deal for them. I feel like Toyota was all in, and I feel like Kyle Busch was all in wanting to go back. But for whatever reason, Joe Gibbs Racing, they were not all in, because I think unless it was a value to them, they were not going to be all in on it. And that's why I think they didn't have trouble finding a sponsor. They had trouble finding the right sponsor, which is something that makes sense now that you think about it. They wanted to find the right sponsor, and that was the sponsor that matched Eminem's money. And if they couldn't match Eminem's money, they were not interested in bringing Kyle Busch back. So I think at the end of the day, and that's just my opinion, but that's at the end of the day, I think that's exactly what happened. JJ, I'd rather eat nothing but bologna sandwiches than root for a pipsqueak, says JJ, talking about Kyle Busch. Yeah, he's definitely a polarizing driver. You either like him or you don't, but whenever a driver switches brands, manufacturers, you get people that didn't care for him at all. All of a sudden, he's one of our guys now. He might be a jerk, but he's our jerk. That's sort of the kind of the thing you're seeing here. And even before this happened, there were a lot of Ford guys saying, "I can't stand Kyle Busch, but if he drove a blue oval, he would be my guy." So I think a lot of people understand that particular sentiment, but a lot of people have been rubbed the wrong way by him, and they don't care what he drove. They're just not going to pull for him, and I understand that too. That's part of the fun of being a fan, man. Gerard says, do you think we are going to see revenge dished out at Bristol? I tend to think not. Any guy who is still in the playoff contention would be stupid to do so. I agree with that 100%. The only situation I could see where something like that happened is if a guy got wrecked and he went several laps down. They happened to get his car out there before the new clock gets reset. And I would like to point this out. Chase Elliott misses the clock on the repair timer one time. The next weekend, NASCAR adds more time to the repair clock. That is not a coincidence, in my opinion, but I'm just going to throw that out there. And that is a guy who likes Chase Elliott, but that was 100% transparent what happened there. But the only situation I can see that happen is if somebody gets wrecked, goes a bunch of laps down, is still on the racetrack, but is out of the race, and they would take out the guy who took them out. That is the only situation I could see revenge happening here at Bristol. Now, there might be some guys who are out of the playoffs that have some tickets to punch on their dance card that they haven't punched yet. Molten Rage says Tyler Reddick is so screwed. What he announces his plans for the future, and then his team owner gets ridiculously mad. And despite that, he gets Kyle Busch and probably gives his best driver worst equipment. To an extent, he will get probably the third best equipment, but it is in RCR's best interest to build that team and make that team good, because they are going to put a driver in there after Tyler Reddick leaves. And nobody wants their car to look bad. So even though they might not like each other, they're going to be frenemies, okay? They're going to be frenemies because Tyler Reddick wants to continue to be a good race car driver. He wants to continue to compete for championships, and he wants to prove that he is a good driver. And RCR wants to prove that even though we might not be happy with the way this guy has left us, we're still going to build this car, because when he leaves, we're putting another guy in that car, and we want that car and that team to be successful. So 100%, I think it's not going to be as big an issue as people are making it out to be in their head. It's more of people are hitting the panic button that are Tyler Reddick fans. I think he's going to be totally fine. He's going to be totally okay. Is there going to be awkwardness in team meetings? Is he not going to get invited to certain strategy meetings? 100%, but that is always, you look at F1, this happens all the time in F1. A guy knows he's not coming back to that team. He doesn't get invited to certain meetings, and it is socially awkward from that perspective, but everything else is cool. Once it gets to race day, everything is normal. You're trying to win a race, and they're still going to give them good cars and good equipment. But to your point, it will be the third best car, no doubt about that. The first two cars are going to either the 3 or the 8, depending on how you view it. Everybody thinks that the 3 car gets the best stuff. I don't necessarily think that is always the case. I think, especially now, I think the 8 car will get top billing for some of these things. But I understand if you feel the other way. It's just an opinion at the end of the day. Let's see. RJ Bansma has a mom joke for Bumblebee. What is Super Mario's favorite kind of pants? Denim, denim, denim. I probably didn't make that noise the best, but that is supposed to be the noise from the Super Mario Brothers video game. Let's see. Reddick is getting unfairly treated for being a driver like Richard Childress. Calm down. Because I mean, yeah, it rubbed Richard Childress the wrong way, and he was mad about it. But I think it'll be okay at the end of the day. I wouldn't overreact to that. They're going to be fine, in my opinion. Moulton, I wouldn't worry about it. A, because worrying about it's not going to help you help anything, and B, it's probably not going to really affect anything. I think he'll run fine next year. One thing this is going to do drastically improve RCR with KB offers as far as development league and trucks plus money. He can throw into Cup Series teams. This might be a 500-foot home run. Yeah, so basically, Chevrolet has the Xfinity Series pretty well. They've got Junior Motorsports. They've got RCR. They've got good cars in Xfinity. Now they have a truck team, more or less, or at least a truck team that's affiliated with them. And now Chevrolet has a really good truck team, whereas it's got the most dominant truck team, really, as opposed to where Toyota used to have the most dominant truck team. So that is a big domino there. So now you've got people you can plug into the pipeline all the way through. Chevrolet was sort of, other than GMS, Chevrolet was sort of lacking a truck team that was just one of those teams they could put their up and coming drivers in. So now, and even if you go even one step lower than that, Dale Jr. has a late model stock car team where that runs the Cars Tour. So you've got a Chevrolet pipeline that is almost cohesive all the way from late models all the way to Cup. So that is huge. A lot of people are not going to pick up on that, especially from the late models all the way up to Cup. So, and of course, ARCA people just do ARCA to get a super speedway license. ARCA's, in my opinion, it's over with. Other than that's just what they use to get a super speedway license. It needs to be really revamped. ARCA does. JD Mayo says, I tried the burger today with slaw. It was great. Yeah, those bologna burgers are good. I appreciate it. Just in case y'all didn't see it, I finally got around to finishing the how to make a bologna burger video. It was the video right before the Kyle Busch going to RCR video. So if you wanted to check that out and haven't checked that out or missed it, it was not well circulated because it is not content that I normally make. I don't make cooking videos. So when I dropped it, the algorithm was not kind with that. But it's just part of the deal. I pretty much figured that would happen. But no big deal. But if I just wanted to make you guys aware, if you want to see it, it is out there. I did finally make it. And kudos to y'all for talking junk to me for not making it fast enough. It did take too long. But full disclosure, I lost the memory card. And when I found it, I made the video. So that's what happened there. Is there a chance RCR doesn't chase a charter for Tyler Reddick and just runs him as an open team, running spare? There is a chance, CPO fast forward, but I think they have lined up a charter, and most likely it's going to be Spire Motorsports. I have a guy that's a source. I don't know how reliable he is, but he said before any of this came out, he said Richard Childress has talked to Spire about buying, not renting, leasing, about buying a charter. And he said he thought at the time that charter was being bought so that they could put Ty Dillon in that car. But it appears that this is the actual reason that charter was getting bought, is so that they could take that charter and get a car for Tyler Reddick. Now, once again, that's just what he said. I don't know how reliable that source is, but that is the only chatter I have. I rarely get inside information, so we'll find out if that's true or not. But that's the only thing I've heard about it. So I do think they will have a charter. But if that charter deal falls through, because Richard Childress said he wasn't ready to talk about it, so that means it might not be finalized. So if that charter deal falls through, it could be a situation where one of those drivers has to race without a charter, and you would have to imagine it would be Tyler Reddick. Elliott hasn't been very good either, says Houston Hokut. Yeah, Hendrick has just not been quite Hendrick-like as these playoffs started. And I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully they'll figure it out. I'm sure they will. But like I said, nobody's really had their game up to A level like normally. But I guess you could say JGR has. JGR has been pretty consistent. So, but they still haven't had those rocket ships that just dominated. I mean, I guess you could count Bubba Wallace's, but He's technically not in the playoffs as a driver, but I guess the car number is. But other than that, nobody playoff wise has had a dominant car just yet. I guess Tyler Reddick did before he blew the tire, but ifs and buts or candy and nuts or whatever, however that goes. Went this afternoon and got me a rowdy roll myself, says JJ. Well, there you go. Like a lot of people are coming around to Rowdy now that he drives a bow tie. A lot of people were holding out because I guess they didn't like Toyota. With KBM possibly going to Chevy, is this a big loss for Toyota's development drivers and a gain for Chevrolet? I think you can look at it a few ways here. At some point, Toyota had the oldest, by age, Toyota had the oldest lineup in motorsports. So at some point, they had to get young. You saw Hendrick do this a few years ago. Hendrick was down for a couple of years because they went young. I think Toyota is going to be in a similar situation. So you can say it's going to be bad for Toyota because they're going to be down for a couple of years as these young drivers develop. But I think long run, as long as these drivers turn out, and you look at all the Toyota drivers they've gotten rid of some really good guys that turned out. Daniel Suarez has won a race. Eric Jones has won races after leaving Toyota. Joey Logano won races in a championship. As long as they have guys like that in the pipeline and keep them and develop them, and they have a spot to keep them and develop them, and it plays out good, it could end up really well for Toyota. It just really depends on how it plays out. I think it's a gain for Chevrolet. Obviously, I think Kyle Busch said he wants to drive for another 8 years. If you get 8 years out of Kyle Busch, and at least 5 or 6 of those are really, really productive, like normal Kyle Busch years, it's a huge win for them. Even without that, I think Kyle Busch is still going to be a guy like Kevin Harvick that can get you your baseline set up and set the cars up. So in my opinion, everybody wants to judge it. I think it's going to be win-win. It's just going to be Toyota is probably going to get a longer run out of it because if you just look at head-to-head, if you're going to look at Ty Gibbs versus Kyle Busch, if Ty Gibbs pans out to be really good, like a lot of people think he is going to be, he's going to have a much longer run than what Kyle Busch has left. But I mean, if you want to look super far into the future, if Brexton Busch turns out to be really good, did Chevrolet get Brexton Busch? I mean, it's so you can look so far in the future, it'll drive you crazy. But I think it's basically going to be a wash. But if you add Tyler Reddick to the mix, Tyler Reddick going to 2311, that's a huge win all the way around because he is young, a really good driver, and has a lot of run. As long as 2311 keeps doing what they're doing and making race-winning race cars, they should be good to go. So that's definitely a big win as far as the Tyler Reddick deal goes. I still say Reddick made his own bed, just my opinion. Yeah, I mean, he 100% made this decision. He knew when he made that announcement that he's going to Toyota, he was going to have a lame duck year. So he knew he shouldn't be super upset about it. He might not be happy that people don't like him. Whenever you've been with an organization and people that used to like you no longer like you, it's socially awkward, it's weird, and it stinks. It shouldn't be like that, but he knew there was going to be an awkward year when he signed that contract originally and made that announcement. So he knew all along he was going to have an awkward year. So in my opinion, it doesn't really change anything for Tyler Reddick other than he now has an extra teammate. And if I've got Kyle Busch as an extra teammate, I just don't see that as a down thing. Like Kyle Busch is really good. And if you can race alongside Kyle Busch and talk with Kyle Busch, you're only going to get better because you're going to learn stuff from him. So I just don't see it as necessarily a downside. I know just a lot of people want to see it as this big controversial thing. I don't really see it being all that bad at the end of the day. Like I said, he's going to miss a few team meetings and stuff like that for strategy purposes. So he doesn't take that information to 2311. But other than that, I think it's going to be business as usual. He's going to try to win races, and RCR is going to try to put a fast race car under him for the next guy that replaces him, which is probably going to be Austin Hill. What is wrong with Logano's team? He hasn't had a top 5 top 5 pace recently, says Jonathan W. I think Joey Logano has had fast cars, but the setups that he's got underneath his cars seem to be aero dependent. When Joey Logano has pretty much clean air, he makes time. But you see, when Joey Logano gets back in traffic, for whatever reason, the setups he's running, he is really struggling with traffic right now. So those bad pit stops and stuff like that are really, really hurting Joey Logano. So I don't think it's actually the speed. I think it's the ability to pass cars. Whatever setup they've got underneath the 22 car, it's really good out front, but it is really bad in traffic. So pit stops for him, track position are definitely key. And I would say that for all of Penske, not just Joey Logano. I figured 2311 will buy out that contract, but who knows, says Bob Puckett, LOL. That is definitely an option. That's something a lot of people have been talking about. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that and see how it goes. Denny Hamlin threw a little bit of shade, also congratulating Kyle Busch on Twitter. But he said something, this decision couldn't have come at a worse time. So he did throw a little bit of shade. He likes to keep his name in the news cycle. We know how Denny rolls. RJ Bansman says, I hope Razor is one of Kyle Busch's sponsors for 2023. I'm a Razor fan for life. I don't know if they will be because what is that golf? They have a golf cart company, so I don't know if that would sort of play into that same market. But RCR already has a golf EasyGo. EasyGo is the golf cart. Already has an EasyGo contract. I don't know if that will be competing markets or how that contract would play out. But Razor would definitely be cool. That blacked out 8 looked pretty sweet, says Bob Puckett. Yeah, it does look good. And I'm glad they're sticking with the Tyler Reddick 8 font because I have an 8 hat from the Daniel Hendrick era it doesn't have any names or anything like that on it. So I've already got an 8 hat, so I don't have to buy any extra gear, which is good for me. I'll end up buying a T-shirt because I got to do the winner's T-shirt, but I'm good to go on the hats. It stinks for young fans. Every kid likes the M&M's car, says Skyblazer RC. Yeah, that is bad. But that being said, you could definitely RCR has had a Reese's Cup contract before. They have been affiliated with Hershey's in the past, so they have that relationship with Hershey's. So if Hershey's ever wanted to get back into the sport, now would be the time. You come back to RCR and you sponsor the guy that used to be the Mars Milky Way man. Just for the sheer laughter of it, I think that would be an interesting thing. So someone please design a 8 Razor Chevrolet for Kyle, please. I'd buy that diecast, says RJ Bansma. Well, there are a lot of people on here that do custom diecast, RJ. So you might want to talk to one of them. I know a few of them. I think Bigfootin is one of them. Ryan Fussner says, I worked for an Oracle partner, and they had a bunch of budget cuts and layoffs right around when that contract came apart. Yeah, I think that's happened to a lot of people. And like I said, they were looking for a big budget company that could fill that M&M's gap. So I think that was part of it. I think once it wasn't a budget play for JGR, they kind of got off of it. Hey, as a Pats fan, I had to watch Brady leave the Pats. Unfortunately, athletes rarely stay with one team or organization their whole career, says Gerard. Yeah, for sure. That's what I was saying about you rarely get a happy ending in real life. I mean, even Michael Jordan, you always remember him with the Bulls. You hardly ever remember that he did at one point go play for the Washington Wizards. So most athletes do at the end of their career go somewhere else just to keep playing. Announcing a new NASCAR sponsorship after laying a bunch of people off isn't a good look, says Ryan Fussner. Going back to the Oracle thing, yeah, I agree with that 100%, Ryan. No doubt about that. I understand why Oracle made that move, and it'll be interesting to see if they stay on the F1 car as well. Do you think this could be the best thing that ever happened to Kyle Busch, says Douglas Serrano? I think at this stage in his career, you could see it go either way. You could see him possibly fall off, or you could see him do what Kevin Harvick did when Kevin Harvick went to Stewart-Haas Racing. It revived Kevin Harvick's career. So it's going to go one way or the other. In my opinion, I think it's going to go good, and that's A, because I'm an RCR homer, so go ahead and get that. Let all those people say that. But B, it's going to be just one of those things. He is going to want to beat Ty Gibbs. He is going to want to beat Joe Gibbs Racing, so he's going to be super motivated. And he's also RCR has had good cars this year. They've got 2 cars, and they're only 1 win behind Joe Gibbs in the stat column. So all these people saying RCR stuff is mid-tier. I don't know what race they're watching, but it's not the ones I've been watching on Sunday. Justin Rogers, Reese's sponsors Ricky Stenhouse at the moment, says RJ Bansma. So there you go. They could convince Reese's. They would possibly come over and at least for maybe 1 or 2 races, just for lulz, be on that car. I got a super chat here. So Mark Martin fan for life. Now get a Hershey's sponsor for the salt in the wound. So he's on board with it. Appreciate it, Mark Martin fan. No doubt about it. That would definitely be awesome. Let's see. Ricky Nathan Mitchell. Hi, guys, from Christchurch, New Zealand. What's up, New Zealand? Kiwis in the house. Good to have you on here, Ricky. Free to Pay says the loudest booze I've ever heard in my life was Earnhardt when he turned Terry Labonte at Bristol. Yeah, no doubt about it. I bet Bristol was definitely louder than Martinsville. Just the way that's set up and the way the sound resonates and echoes. B McMahon 88, Tyler Reddick going to be driving a Ford Tempo next year for RCR. I don't think it'll be anything like that. They're going to want to put fast cars underneath of him for the next guy, and Tyler Reddick is going to want to win. So while they might be clenching their teeth when they talk to each other, I think on race day they'll be fine. BB, the 2023 schedule is set for release tomorrow. Do you think we'll see any changes beside what's already been announced? Well, the rumor is Kansas is losing a race, and some other track is losing a race. I don't know. The way this season has gone, I don't want to make any predictions because it's been so wild. I'm really interested to see what happens with Chicago. Do they go back to Chicagoland, or do they stick with the street race? That's a big if. I have no idea. Joe Gibbs comes from the NFL. They change players all the time, says Dillon Brown. 100% agree with that, Dillon. That's why I said he once it no longer made financial sense for them, they sort of got off of it. It has to be, and that's what I was saying about as much as Joe Gibbs does try to instill some family aspects to Joe Gibbs Racing, more often than not, it is run like a business. And once it didn't make business sense for them, I think they got off of it. And I think that is the point when they told Kyle Busch he wasn't going to be at Joe Gibbs Racing anymore. And I think you can almost pinpoint that moment to the moment where Joe Gibbs went and patted Kyle on the back, and Kyle Busch had no response for him. You can almost pinpoint it, in my opinion. I don't know for sure what happened, but that would make sense as to why that was the interaction there. Of course, Kyle Busch was taking a lot of heat for that. Like, how do you not talk to Coach Gibbs after knowing him for so long? Well, in that situation where he was just told he's not going to be back anymore, you could see where maybe Kyle Busch didn't want to talk to him or acknowledge him at that moment. So that sort of makes sense in retrospect. But that is just speculation from me. I have no idea if that's true or not. No, Bill is never going to leave JGR. He has been groomed, and how the success over there, there's no way he's going to leave Joe Gibbs Racing. 10 years ago, you would have said the same thing about Kyle Busch, in my opinion. So he's got a good 10 years there, I'll say that. But like I said, Joe Gibbs Racing is a business. And if he gets to the point where Joe Gibbs thinks the sponsorship money is not worth the performance they're getting, he would be the next one that goes. Because like if you bet me money at the beginning of the season, I would have lost every dime in my pocket, because I would have said Kyle Busch is going to go back and be in that 18 car. You never could have convinced me that Kyle Busch wouldn't be driving for Joe Gibbs Racing next year. And man, how wrong I would have been. So it is what it is. The PR is bigger than the Reddick departure, says the Hammer Slammer series. Yeah, for sure. They're going to spin the Reddick story all season, but I just think he's going to be fine. I think it's going to be much ado about nothing. But you know how the media is. The media gets clicks and views, so they're gonna spin it up. Let's see. Oh, Eric Jiggins basically said the same thing I said. Moulton, the same was said about Kyle Busch never leaving, and his contract is next on the clock at the end of the next season. So yeah, like it could be as soon as next season. I think the damaged vehicle policy needs to go away. I agree with you, Mark Barnum. I don't see anything good about the damaged vehicle policy. Like if NASCAR just doesn't want junky cars on the track, just make a rule that if the car is too junky, you pull it off the track. It's pretty simple. You don't need a damaged vehicle policy. And people working under a clock on 3,000 pound plus race cars, just not a good situation, in my opinion. That's just my view on it. Some people might like the DVP. It's all good. Only reason Joe Gibbs did this is said because he wanted Ty Gibbs in that 18. And that could be very well true. I mean, it's a discount. It's his grandson. Everything lines up. So, I mean, it is what it is. How many grandfathers out there wouldn't want to put their son in their race car? So I can't fault Joe Gibbs for that, no more than I can fault Richard Childress for putting Austin Dillon or Ty Dillon in one of his cars. I don't have a problem with that. It's his money, it's his car. He can do what he wants to do. Logano Kenseth, now Busch, no loyalty from Joe Gibbs Racing to drivers, says Mark Martin fan for life. Yeah, that's been a criticism of Joe Gibbs Racing for a long time, and that's what I was just saying. They run that like a business, and their business is winning. And once you're not winning anymore, it's next man up. And I've said a lot of times that 20 car has got to be the least fun place to be in motorsports. Not because it's a bad car, not because it's unfun to be at Joe Gibbs Racing, but there's just so much pressure on that 20 car because you never see the guy in the 20 car with a nice 10-year contract. You'll never see anybody at Joe Gibbs Racing with a nice 10-year contract. They don't want people getting complacent. I don't know. They're just very, very business-like over there, despite trying to be family-oriented in other aspects. I'm not bashing Joe Gibbs Racing. I'm just saying this is their style of doing business in the Cup Series. It's very business-like. They want to win races. Joe Gibbs Racing is more like if you're going to professional sports, they're more like the New England Patriots, and the New York Yankees, where it's just straight business. You come here to win championships. If you're not competing for championships, we're going to find somebody who can compete for championships. So it's no different. There's teams like that in every sport. Let's see. Bumblebee 48 RCR fan with the number 33 at Michigan with Austin Hill driving. I missed that one. Is Hendrick drivers going to make it out of the round of 12? I think most of the Hendrick drivers will make it out of the round of 12 or into the round of 12. Yeah, I think they'll make it into the round of 12. Round of 12 is where it gets really interesting. There's always one surprise, and this surprise is going to be, obviously, unless Kevin Harvick wins, Kevin Harvick's going to be the surprise in round 1 that didn't make it out of the round of 16. But usually the round of 16 has one surprise, and the other guys you pretty much knew were going to go anyway. So the round of 12 is the one where it gets really interesting. So that's going to be the one that I'm sort of more interested in. But this round of 16 could get crazy too, because nobody's locked themselves in with a win yet. Let's see here. Got a super chat. Scroll down. Wow, I'm way behind. Way behind. There we go. TJ Moorhead. Get the name right. TJ Moorshed. Everyone has cut Austin Dillon some slack for a while. He's not super exciting, but Kyle Busch will make him a lot better. That is a very good point, TJ. Thanks for the super chat. That is a very, very good point. So Austin Dillon, to me, and I've said this a lot of times, he reminds me a lot of Eric Almirola. He's going to get you solid top 10 finishes. He is going to get you, he's going to be that guy that just sort of shows up at the end. All of a sudden, you're like, where did Austin Dillon come from at the end of the race? A lot of times, that's what I say when I'm watching races. I'm like, where did Austin Dillon come from? But at the end of the race, they're making the right adjustments. They got the right strategy. And I think now with a better baseline setup where Austin Dillon is running in and sneaking top 15s and top 10s, you could possibly see Austin Dillon sneaking top 10s and top 5s and getting his occasional, it seems like once every 2 years, he wins at least a race. So I think that's definitely a very, very good point. So, yeah, 100% agree with you, TJ. And that's what I'm saying about Kyle Busch and even Tyler Reddick. People are looking at this like a bad deal for Tyler Reddick, too. But it's not necessarily a bad deal for Tyler Reddick because you're going to be learning from Kyle Busch how to set up and get the most out of your race car. You're going to have that resource to talk to as a teammate. And I don't, like, everybody's trying to paint this as the worst situation, and it is going to be awkward. It's going to be doggone awkward. Don't get me wrong, but I think for sure that it's going to also be a good thing, and it's going to play into Tyler Reddick's favor as well. It's going to help Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon. It's only going to help Tyler Reddick for 1 year, but the knowledge he gets from it will help him when he goes over 223.11. So I think it could go any way you want it to go. D. Moran says, when will Brandon Jones get a shot in Cup? That is a fair question. And I want to be like, first and foremost, when Brandon Jones first got into the Xfinity Series, I was like, how did this dude get an Xfinity Series ride? But to his credit, he has made me eat my words because he has gotten better and better. Every single year, he has driven an Xfinity Series car, and now he is definitely contending for wins. He gets wins. He is contending for the championship. So I think it is definitely fair to ask, when is he going to get a shot at the next level? Because he's a guy that is funded. He is a guy that is young, and he is a guy that has showed he can do it in the Xfinity Series. So I wouldn't have a problem with somebody taking a shot on Brandon Jones. Where that opportunity is going to come from, and maybe that's a situation, maybe he's been offered an opportunity. It's just not the opportunity he wants, an opportunity where he feels like he can win races. So maybe that is the holdup. But I agree with you. Brandon Jones doesn't get mentioned a whole lot, but he should get mentioned a whole lot because he has put in the work to get better, and he has gotten better. And a lot of people never acknowledge that because they just remember Brandon Jones from his first year where he was wrecking a lot. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that he has gotten a lot better. He's possibly the most improved driver over that period of time. Molten Rage says, I still think it was a bad decision, Kyle Busch leaving a championship organization for a mediocre organization who has not been a champion since Dale passed. Yeah, good idea, Kyle. Hope it works out for you. On that same note, they've got 2 cars, Molten. Like everybody's saying that RCR is mid-tier equipment. I just don't get it. RCR has 2 wins this season. Could be 4 or 5 if it wasn't for the Goodyear tires at Kansas and if it wasn't for Chase Briscoe. Joe Gibbs Racing has 3 wins with 4 cars and multiple champions. So saying the equipment is bad, I just don't get it. Yes, the equipment might not be what you think it is, but let me tell you something. In this particular Cup Series right now, your car is like 75% of it. You can't make up as many spots in a Cup car as you can make up in, say, lower divisions. So yes, Tyler Reddick does make up maybe 1 or 2 spots, but I'm telling you, he is not making up enough spots to make that car look that good. That car is good, and he's winning because that car is good. That's just where I stand on it, and I will die on that hill. RCR puts out good cars. They just have not, until Tyler Reddick, they have not had a driver to display that since they left, since Kevin Harvick left. Let's see. Got some old 8 hats, but it's a different font. It says Do Chronic. Yeah, you might see a lot of number 8 Budweiser hats coming out of retirement here for Kyle Busch until they get some new gear printed up. Did you hear Brexton's contract was on a $100 bill, says Angus 420? That is even cooler. That is really cool. Richard Childress, that was probably my favorite part of the whole deal, was him calling Brexton and his mom up there and giving him a little future contract. I didn't know it was written on a $100 bill. That's even more rad. That's grandpa style right there, slipping him a little money and a contract. That's really cool. That's a straight grandpa move. I like it, RC. Where will Matt DiBenedetto go in 2024? He's going to be back with Rackley War Racing, and he's going to continue to build that Truck Series team. So he will be there. And Tate Fogelman, I think, is going to be his teammate over there. Hopefully Tate can get a full season in that other car that they've got over there. Did anyone in the garage learn from Brad? Do not leave your championship ride for a mediocre team because Roush and RCR is a totally different situation. Roush has been winning races. I've already answered that one, so I'm going to move on from that one. I see Hershey's currently sponsors the JTG 47 car, which uses similar equipment to what Kyle will be using. So who knows? Yeah, I could definitely see. I always forget about Hershey sponsoring the 47, so that's on me. 100%. But I'd like to see that 47 car get better too, because I like Brad Doherty. I like Ricky Stenhouse, whatever you want to call him. Let's see. At least Kyle didn't buy half of it, says Bumblebee. RCR will get sponsors. Drew Chronic, 2 teams. Don't all Chevys have engines from ECR Hendrick? Yeah, that's a combined effort now. They're all the same engines. And it was released the other day during one of the races. They said they're actually working together on their setups too. So it's pretty much a Chevrolet, unified Chevrolet across the board. Drew Chronic saying RCR's 2 teams. They're going to be 3 teams next year because they're going to buy another charter. That was mentioned in the announcement today. Marion Miller says, trust me, Toyota messed up. I would agree with you on letting Kyle Busch go. They messed up, but they're going to get younger. So you'll have to wait to see what those young kids do. Let's see. Eric Diggins, KB went to an encrypted tweet regarding Apple Inc. Wonder if that was a clue. Who knows? If Apple gets on a race car, that would be something to see. Hangus 420 says, Dum Dums suckers should sponsor Kyle. That's definitely a candy. Uncle Bones, well done, Angus 420, by the way. Uncle Bones 2, the 8 car is fast with Reddick in it. It will be fast with Kyle in it, Mr. Berger. I agree with you. I don't understand why all these people are saying. Maybe in previous years I would agree with you, but this year RCR has been just as fast as everybody else. Iowa Cup race, says D Moran. I'd love to see it. A lot of people would love to see it. We'll just have to wait and see. They brought back Wilkesboro, so we'll have to see about Iowa. Agreed. Bristol Motor Speedway, Dale Senior turn was unreal. I've never heard any boos like that at Bristol Motor Speedway. By the way, this is Sam. Yeah, I got you, Bigfoot, and I got you, Mr. Deloach, for sure. Sam, there was somebody asking about a custom diecast. I don't know if you heard that earlier, but there was somebody looking for a custom diecast. I know you are one of the people on here that do that. So if you want a custom diecast, check out Bigfoot and Deadhead. Let's see. Coach wants to see Ty race Cup. Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. Who wouldn't want to see their grandson racing their car? I could see NASCAR going back to Road America if the Chicago street race falls, or even to Chicagoland, says RJ. Yeah, I think so too. I think they would go to Chicagoland because they seem to be keeping that in play just in case. That seems to be their backup plan for the Chicago street race. I love the Rolex move by Mr. Childress, says James Hankin. I agree with you, James. I thought it was pretty good. Road to America was a good race, says Drew Chronic. I agree with that. Toyota fans are cracking me up. Wow, says Jason Ratcliffe. I mean, yeah, Toyota has got to be upset. You're losing who's historically been your best driver. So I can understand it, but saying RCR has been bad this year, I don't understand that. They got both cars in the playoffs, so it is what it is. Danny B Talk says Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Joey Logano, and now Kyle Busch. I would like to talk to whoever thinks Christopher Bell is safe. 100%. Well said, Danny B. Well said. Like I said, the 20 car has got to be the least fun place in all of motorsports. There's just so much pressure. You're getting the fourth best equipment. You never get a long contract, and you just don't know day to day, week to week if you're going to be there. So definitely a rough spot to be in. Let's see. Molten Ray says, unlike them, Bell's been basically with Joe Gibbs Racing for all of his career, unlike the other ones who have driven different teams. That's why I think Bell is safe. Well, Joey Logano was with Gibbs the entire time, and so was Suarez. So I don't know about that one, Molten. If they don't think you can contend for a championship, they will yeet you out of that seat pretty quick. I don't see it. I don't see anybody being safe at Joe Gibbs unless you're pushing for a championship every year. Don't rush and fix it. Timber Race, I hope so. Joe's got what, 5 more years, says Drew Chronic. I don't know. I don't know how old Joe Gibbs is. He's got to be pretty up there. He's had gray hair since I've been born, so I don't know. And I'm old, so I know he's got to be older, way older. Anyone who thinks RFK and RCR are equal level equipment, boy, have I got some stuff to sell you. Yeah, RFK is way off. But they've been trending in the right direction with Chris Buescher, whatever you want to call him. The 20 team is not all the good stuff, says Drew Chronic. Yeah, the 20 team by far has always gotten the fourth best equipment. That's just, like I said, just a tough spot to be in. Let's be honest, Joe, I'm not going to talk about that. We'll mess you over when you least expect it. I don't know about that, but once he sees no value in you to his team, he doesn't have a problem getting away from you. He views it as a business, not a buddy friendship, family type deal. Although he does try to work in family elements to the race team, the business side of it is business. So I wonder who will replace Truex when the time comes, says Dakota Henderson. That's a good question. Possibly Sammy Smith would be my guess. Sammy Smith's going to be really good. He's going to be the future. Him and Ty Gibbs and Christopher Bell, I think, are going to be the future over there. They got some other people in the mix, though. Landon Pimbleton in the ARCA series. Keep an eye on him. On Landon Pimbleton. He's running some select ARCA starts this year. 18 will get old parts if he doesn't do good. He's probably already getting the fourth best equipment. So the 20 now has gotten the third best equipment. So Christopher Bell will now get the third best equipment. RCR has 3 wins this year, for sure. Yeah, they're one. I just remember they're 1 win behind Joe Gibbs Racing. So Joe Gibbs Racing has 4 wins. RCR has 3 with 2 less cars. So that's why I don't follow the RCR's trash equipment. I just don't get that. The Hershey's deal for the 47 is cheap compared to what they would have to do to cover KB. Basically, Kroger foots the bill, and they send Hershey's a bill when they want in on their car too. Yeah, that is definitely a Kroger-oriented sponsorship. Kroger controls what's on those cars. But like I was saying, RCR has had a past relationship with Reese's. So if it's ever going to happen, this is going to be the time that it could happen. And I don't know, man. If I'm Hershey's, I just do it, just to do it, just to take a poke at M&M's. That would 100% be what I do. Danny B, appreciate him hanging out with us, man, as always. Does Kyle get to call Richard Pop? That's a good question. That would be funny. I don't know. If he gets enough wins, he can probably call him Pop. I think that'll be pretty funny. Let's see. Beard Motorsports under the RCR banner for a year with a charter and Tyler Reddick. It's kind of a RCR branded number. Yeah, but I don't know. They could use. I don't know about that one. They don't have a charter, and that is an RCR car. I think RCR would just build another one in-house, especially with this new car where it's sort of bolt-on. TJ Moorshed, appreciate that one. I don't think they would necessarily have to pull that in. They could possibly use the number. I don't know what number they would use. Maybe if they had some points or something to go along with it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that they would use the 62, but that's a good. I hadn't thought about that. You caught me off guard with that one. That was that is definitely thinking way outside of the box, TJ. That's a good that is a good thing to ponder. But like I said, I think the charter is going to come from Spire, no doubt about it. But I think the number will probably be a historic, probably Richard Childress number, whether it be the 29 or the 33. A lot of people say the 31 because they Justin Haley drives the 31, so it won't be the 31. It could be the 30. It could be the 07. That's one that people don't think about. It could be the 07, old Jack Daniels 07, but most likely it'll either be a 29 or a 33 over there on the other side, would be my guess, and just speculation. So I don't know. Let's see. NASCAR does own Iowa, so it is possible, says D. Moran. Yeah, a lot of people really want to see Iowa come back, and I think that would be another good track to come back. I don't. A lot of people also want to see Rockingham. I don't want to see a situation where we bring back every single track in North Carolina, and nothing against Rockingham. Rockingham is more ready to go than North Wilkesboro is. And they just released some information about North Wilkesboro that they're not going to put in new traffic patterns because they don't have time. So traffic is going to be an absolute freaking disaster. So it might be best that they leave it at about 20,000 fans that could come in for the All-Star race and go ahead and just jack those tickets up as high as sky high, because they're going to do that anyway, because the traffic is almost unbearable. The traffic is a big concern for me at Wilkesboro. But back to that point, I would like to see more tracks like Iowa and stuff like that outside of North Carolina. Stuff I just don't want to. I don't want to get back to where the whole sport is focused back where it was. I want these other tracks to get a chance as well. Yes, Wilkesboro needed to come back because Wilkesboro is a great track that always put on great racing. So that's why I would vote for Wilkesboro to come back. Now we need to get other tracks that are great tracks that put on great racing, no matter where they are, but expand it outside of North Carolina. As long as it's a short track that puts on good racing, that's going to be a win-win for everybody, especially once they fix the new car on short tracks, which I think tire fall off is basically going to fix that. Hopefully they figure it out for Martinsville. They've had several cracks at testing there, so hopefully it fixes it over there in Martinsville. Toyota losing a guy with 140 wins in all across series, says Drew Chronic. Yeah, that is definitely a rough loss for Toyota, and it's also their biggest marketing piece. They're losing their biggest marketing as well. Dillon says, do you think the third car is a one-time deal next year for RCR, or do they put Creed or Hill in it in 2024? I think they're going to do it full-time. Richard Childress said over and over again he's not interested in one-year deals. So I think that's going to be a full-time deal. I think they will buy that charter from Spire. And going forward, it will be Austin Hill in that car full-time. Douglas Serrano, RCR 1 KB over. I think so too, Douglas. I think he warmed up to him once they had that conversation. And I think they both want to win championships. And that's sort of what it boils down to and what it's all about for both of them. And also, I think the bigger factor was they were going to work with him on the truck team so that Brexton would have a future as well. I think that was the other component that other teams couldn't bring to the table that were not Joe Gibbs. And, of course, once Joe Gibbs said they were pulling out of it, he had to look at teams that would support that truck team, and RCR apparently had no problem trying to help him out with that. Let's see. Cassandra Keller says, I'm happy as pie. Karma for Coach Gibbs for treating drivers like poo-poo. So, yeah, that's another person that does not like the business first mentality of Joe Gibbs Racing. Like I said, a lot of people pull for the Yankees. A lot of people don't like the Yankees. The Yankees do the same thing. It's win first, and they don't care what your last name is. If you're not producing, they don't care if you're a 15-time All-Star. They know you're not going to be a 16-time All-Star in their mind, and they jump off of you and get rid of you. Joe Gibbs Racing, same mentality. Joe Gibbs Racing had Joey for his beginning, says Drew Chronic. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. NASCAR also owns Sebring and Road Atlanta. I doubt NASCAR would race at those tracks, but it would be cool. I love Road Atlanta. I was a big Forza Motorsport fan back in the day. Road Atlanta was my favorite racetrack. I was actually really good there. We used to have LAN parties, and we would plug it up, and I was kicking butt in the dorm rooms most of the time. There was a few guys that could give me some trouble. Working on a 98 Raleigh Herbst Custom. As I'm watching you, thank you for the shout out on the customs. No problem, Bigfoot and Mr. Sam. Drew Chronic throwing a what's up to Danny B. Once again, Danny B's been hanging out with us, so we appreciate him and his time. Let's see, 07 with Jack Daniels, says Cassandra Kelly. Yeah, that was a beautiful car. I always liked that car for Clint Boyer and Dave Blaney. I think were the main two that drove it. I know there might have been somebody in between, but I always remember Clint Boyer and Dave Blaney. I was a big Dave Blaney fan. I just wish he had gotten to Cup a little bit earlier. He was so good. Sammy Smith driving Rowdy Arca car. I think maybe he comes with Kyle, signs with Chevy next. Says Swan Dog. I don't know. I think he's got a pretty long-term contract with Toyota from what I heard, but we will have to see. But he came from the Cars Tour. There's another guy on the Cars Tour that signed. There's a few guys in the Cars Tour that are signed with Toyota. So Toyota's got a deep pipeline. They just seem to get off these racers pretty quick. 2024 All-Star Race, Nashville Fairgrounds. That would be cool for sure. I'd love to see the Nashville Fairgrounds brought back. Like probably Nashville Fairgrounds and Iowa. Those are the two tracks on here I see the most people wanting to bring back or bring to NASCAR. Kenneth said Tide is the sponsor. It could be. Molten Ray says, okay, this is my last time talking about RCR, but the reason I think it's just Meteor equipment is they haven't been good until Reddick came into the picture. That's actually true. Dillon has been meh. He has been, but he made it to the round of 12 one year. I remember that because he almost won Darlington and would have locked himself into the next round, but he finished one spot behind Kevin Harvick. Yeah, Kevin Harvick. That was the race that Chase Elliott and Martin Truex wrecked out going for the lead. 07 is cool, and I'm not talking about past RCR. I'm talking about this year. This year, RCR has been good. Kurt Busch to RCR in 2024. That would be cool. You would have both Busch brothers and Austin Dillon. That would be a cool deal. And then, yeah, we would have to see if Kurt wants to race beyond that, though. Rick Hendrick did that to Dale Jr. As a boy, gave him a contract. That's pretty cool for sure. Let's see. Hopefully Chevrolet recognizes the talent of Sammy Smith and can bring him over to Kyle Busch Motorsports. I think he's going to be a very coveted free agent when he gets there. And like I said, they've got plenty of people in that Toyota pipeline. So if that might be one they let get away, but it would not be wise because I think Sammy Smith's going to be really good, and also the other people I mentioned will also be good for Toyota, I think, as well. I will always say I never like Austin Dillon. And this year has made me even more hate him. He took a playoff spot from Truex, who should be in the playoffs, and won a Mickey Mouse win. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I don't know what to say to that. Is he supposed to not try to win that race? Is it his fault that everybody wrecked? Did he make it rain? Did he not throw the yellow flag? He won the race. I just don't understand. I don't understand what you're supposed to do in that situation. He didn't make the playoff system. He didn't make the win and you're in. So all these people mad at Austin Dillon should really be mad at NASCAR for making the playoffs. So it is what it is. And I've been very vocal about how I feel about the playoffs. So why can't we get VIR on the schedule? Even trucks or ARCA would be nice, says Jason Ratcliffe. VIR would be a seating nightmare. They would have to sell that as a festival, the way they sell tickets. There's no real stands. It would VIR is one of the nicest tracks you'll ever visit, but it's just not set up for a Cup event is probably the best way to say it. And I would have to give some thought on that, but it's just selling tickets and where people would sit would be a serious issue for VIR. Casey Mears also drove the 07 last. Thank you, Danny B. I knew there was somebody else that drove that. Danny B coming in clutch there with the fact checking for me. I appreciate that, buddy. You know how it is when you get on here and start talking. Every thought in your head leaves your body. How funny would it be if they get Hershey's to be a sponsor? Says Mike Haywood. That would be pretty good. I would really like it to be Reese's Cups, because Reese's Cups used to be the Hershey sponsor there, or Payday. Payday would be cool. Let's see. Jason Ratcliffe, VIR is an awesome road course. NASCAR does test there a lot. Yeah, like I said, the only hang up with VIR would be how many tickets you could sell, because they don't really have stadium seating. So I don't know how the ticket deal would work out. That would be something they would have to wrap their heads around. But VIR, without a doubt, is one of the best tracks you'll ever go to. If you get a chance to watch a race at VIR, definitely take that chance. And if you get a chance to watch a race at VIR and rent that hotel that's like right beside the track where you can walk out on your balcony and watch the race, that is probably definitely the best way to do it. Let's see. I've done 24 hours of lemons at Road Atlanta. Awesome fun, says Michael Honeychuck. Yeah, I really want to build a lemons or chump car. They call them champ cars now. I really want to build one of those and get back into that. Agreed, RJ. Exactly my points. Slinger would be a great all-star race as well. What's the chance of a sixth first-time winner? Who would you pick to win? I'm taking LaJoy at Talladega. Yeah, I would love to see Corey LaJoy win. I think Martin Truex, the way he's been running, I think Martin Truex is going to get a win. And also just Martin Truex wants to prove a point that he doesn't want to be the only Toyota driver without a win this season. Let's see. RJ says, Jason, it's also been the home track for Gears and Gasoline, Ben Lynn and Ben Thorne. Yeah, and also yeah, there's a lot of people that go. You don't want to talk about that. Sorry. There's a lot of people that do VIR testing. I had some thoughts. I'm gonna keep them to myself. Let's see. I see Dodge, Fiat chasing JGR and Trackhouse. That definitely could happen. I think that could happen. I don't think they'll get JGR, but I think Trackhouse will be in the mix, and I think Stuart Haas is definitely in that mix if they haven't already signed something with them. That's just my opinion. I have no inside information about Stuart Haas going to Dodge. I just really think they're going. Hope Trevor Bayne will be back in the 18 Xfinity car soon. I do too. Always fun when Trevor Bayne's at the track. Maybe I should start cheering for Austin Dillon and give him a chance, says Robin Marks. I mean, he just gets a lot of hate because he wrecked Eric Almirola. He drives the 3 car, and his name's not Earnhardt. So he gets a lot of unnecessary hate, but I didn't understand people hating on him because he won a race that everybody wrecked in. Like he didn't make the playoff system. He didn't throw the yellow flag, and he won the race at the end of the day. Yeah, he wrecked Austin Cindric at the end of the race, but that's basically how those races go. Austin Cindric threw a block on his teammate Ryan Blaney to win the Daytona 500. So I mean, that's just plate racing nowadays with the win and you get in scenarios. So not saying it's the best thing in the world. I'm just saying, what was he supposed to do? Try to lose the race and not get into the playoffs? If I'm driving in that situation, I probably do the same thing is all I'm saying. I'm just mad at NASCAR that they screwed Martin Truex out of the playoffs, or just being only reason Dillon was won is because of the rain, and that's annoying. Just the L win. Yeah, it's definitely rough to watch that many cars wreck out. But unfortunately, that's what those races have sort of turned into. No way around it. Drew Chronic says best lemon car is an 82 Camaro. That's for sure. Anything, even a Mustang, anything rear wheel drive that you can get really light and put a really cheap motor that is fast in there, that's going to be your ticket. In lemons, chump car is a different. They go by a points system for each upgrade you put on the car. So very, very different builds on those. On door bumper clear, Noah Gregson said he is not running the Cup car at 100% for fear of getting hurt and ruining his Xfinity championship run. Harvick's not the only one worried about his safety, says Stu Putty. And that's a fair statement. I mean, he is in the Xfinity Series championship hunt. He doesn't want to take a chance. So that definitely could be very true. And if that is the case, I don't necessarily like it that he's half button it, because typically when you half butt it in a race car, you get in more wrecks than if you just go for it. but I understand his mentality there. It's sort of like slow drivers cause more wrecks than people speeding. That's a statistic. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard it a lot. Might be an old wives' tale, but I've heard that a lot. Stewart Haas Racing, are there any Dodge drag teams too? Has a Dodge drag team too. Yeah, that's his wife definitely is in that. The KBM drivers are signed to deals through Toyota, says Benjamin Lewis for sure. The only KBM driver I could see moving over is John Hunter Nemechek, and that's because he is signed with Dillon Management. So I don't know how deep his Toyota contract runs. I want to change Daytona, where David Goat Reagan won and not Dillon. So Martin Truex is still in the playoffs and not Dillon. It could be. I'd rather. What if Cody Ware had won? That would have been even better. So yeah, a lot of things you could change if you wanted to for storylines. If Cody Ware had won, I would have probably more views on my YouTube videos. So I mean, there's all kinds of things you could change, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. If I could change anything about that Daytona race, it would be they throw the yellow flag before everybody wrecked. I guess that'd be what I would change. Dave the Stalker, I think Toyota may be pulling out of NASCAR, losing KFB and KBM will be detrimental. Whoever at Toyota is responsible for this train wreck today needs to be fired. Then drawn and quartered. Dave with some strong thoughts on how Toyota is being run right now. There has been some talk about Toyota sort of pulling out and maybe going to IndyCar or something. So I don't know if there's any truth to that. But you don't want to lose Kyle Busch because you spent all that money promoting him. He's in most of your advertising. So it's a big hit, but they're just going to have to plug somebody else in, and somebody else is going to have to be their guy. Brian says, I saw Randy LaJoie start racing at Danbury Race Arena in the late 70s. Says Brian. Yeah, Randy LaJoie is really cool. I actually had a LaJoie of seating was in one of my race cars. It didn't fit me, so I had to take it out and traded it. I traded a guy and got a seat that fit me. But I really wanted to run that seat. I was really bummed I couldn't run that LaJoie of seating seat because it was really cool. But it is what it is. You see Elite Precision 29's video of the playoffs messing up Truex yet? I have not seen that one, but Elite Precision is a really good, underrated YouTuber. So if you haven't checked him out, definitely check him out. Jack Daniels sign up for 2023 McLaren F1 sponsor and hospitality racing events, says Kenneth. I did see that, and that is actually why the 07 was on my mind. Maybe they come back for a one-off race with RCR. Obviously, it wouldn't be the 07 because they're not going to run the 07 for just one race. But it would be cool to see them come back to RCR. I always love looking at that 07 car. It was a good looking car. I'm not advocating for a cup race. I'm not advocating for a cup race at VRR. I know the track lacks the infrastructure, but could do ARCA and trucks. Oh, yeah. That would be great. ARCA, trucks, Xfinity, any of that would definitely be awesome. Over the weekend on like Mid-Ohio they did this year. Make no excuses. I'm a Mid-Atlantic homer. Yeah. I got you now, Jason Ratcliffe. Yeah, for sure. Like, dude, that would be awesome. If they could get the trucks, the ARCA, or Xfinity over there, that would fit VIR very well. I just like that's okay. I'm following you now. Yep. It just it's not built for a cup race. Do you think Junior Motorsports will be the new home of Truex in 2024? I do think that there is something to that. I think that could possibly happen. It's so far in the future, but Truex only signed a 1-year deal, and he would be the type of guy that brings sponsorship over to Junior Motorsports that would make that transition for them pretty easy. So he would be one of the guys, and I think that's the guy. Junior's even come out and said it. Junior said that's the guy he wants to start it. So I think that would be a good fit for them. Angus 420 says Cody Ware definitely. He wishes he had won that race for sure. Should Dodge come back to NASCAR, says Kyler Sanders? Yes, they should. Any manufacturer who can get into NASCAR should come and get into NASCAR because I think the more the merrier. So I think it would be fun. Did you hear about Jeremy Clements? He got his playoff spot back in Xfinity from that win in Daytona, says Charles Wright. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, but just to reiterate for the people that didn't catch that, Jeremy Clements is back in the Xfinity Series playoffs, and so hopefully he can make some noise over there and get a good run and continue his playoff hopes. But he has won his appeal, and they have reinstated him into the playoffs. Let's see. Will Hershey's join Kyle Busch on the 8 car? I would love to see it, especially Reese's, because that would be a RCR throwbacks. A lot of companies that are massive have cut back a lot. Even Disney, says Drew Chronic. Yeah, it's a rough time for this NASCAR particular sponsorship model, for sure. Let's see. Marion Miller says, "Come on, man, drink Pepsi." I normally actually do drink Pepsi, but that's just what they had at the store today, so I grabbed it. It's even I hate that Coke does this because I don't ever pay attention, and I got the Coke Zero Sugar, which is not my favorite. If I'm going to drink Coke, I want full strength because not a fan. Feel free to give me money, Coca-Cola, after that glowing review. Talk to me for more ways to draw sponsors to your channel. Anyway, Canada race at Cuyahoga Speedway would be great, says Drew Chronic. I think a Canada race anywhere would be great. They want to run a street race so bad. Run in Toronto, man. Toronto would be a good course for them to run. Toyota Gazoo Racing is returning to F1 in 2024, correct? I think you're right. I think Toyota is coming back to F1. Dave the Stalker says, I can't remember who's coming to F1, but I saw something the other day where a brand is coming back to F1. It's either, is it Toyota or Audi? It's somebody's coming back to F1. Drew Chronic says Matt Kenseth and Dale Jr. raced at Cuyahoga. Well, there you go. Put it on the list of places they need to add. They definitely need to add a Canadian race to the Cup Series for sure. Douglas Serrano says, I agree. Elite Precision 29 means more love and subs, 100%. So if you haven't checked out Elite Precision 29, check out his channel. He's very solid. He's a good channel for sure. So check him out and show him some love if you like his channel. Is the 29 number available for RCR? I think it is 100%. Drew Chronic says, is KBM dissolved? No, they're still going to be a truck team. They're just going to be a Chevrolet truck team now. KBM will drive the Chevy, confirmed this morning, says Stalker, for sure. Douglas Serrano says, was Clement's penalty rescinded? It was rescinded. He won his appeal. Let's see. Jason Ratcliffe says, Jukasa, I don't know what that means. Maybe a Alaskan track. I don't know. I prefer Mountain Dew over Coke, says RJ. Yeah, I like Mountain Dew myself. Dr. Pepper is probably my favorite. Sundrop is my favorite, but after going to North Wilkesboro, there was just too much Sundrop going on there. It feels too mainstream now. Gotta tap out on that one. Cheerwine is probably now my favorite drink as far as obscure things that you can get around North Carolina. There's one on the West Coast called Cactus Cooler. Cactus Cooler is probably another one of my favorites. But each region you go to has a different type of soda. I'm not gonna lie, as much as I don't like the import V8 Honda Civics or Subarus, there's a lot of people out there who drive Hondas and Subarus, so running them in NASCAR will be a decent bet, says Angus 420. I agree with you 100%. And I'd love for Honda to get into it. Because then you would have Honda versus Toyota, and you would have Chevrolet versus Toyota, or Chevrolet versus Ford. You would just have all these matchups, man, and it would be really cool. Just all these fans that would have something else to root for other than just a driver. It could be like back in the day when you had all these brands, and this guy was loyal to a brand, not necessarily a driver. And then there's some people who are loyal to drivers. There's some people who are loyal to teams. I just think it just everything's better when you have more brands and more people at the table. Let's see. They run IndyCar and the NASCAR Piney Series. Pinties. I always mess that up. I can't remember. I know they make chicken wings. That's what I do know. At the street course in Toronto, so why not Cup? That would be so cool, says Blip 5555. No doubt about it. So don't sleep on the Piney Series. It's pretty cool. They got a guy named Pete Shepard that's really good in there. And most of the Piney Series cars for you Dodge fans are Dodge Challengers. So check them out for sure if you like watching Dodges go around racetracks. Okay, there we go. Drew Chronic says Jacasa is that Cuyahoga now. I think so. It's a track in Canada. LOL. I just don't know how to spell it. Says Jason Ratcliffe. Okay, so I was right. I knew it was a track. It sounded familiar. So it's a track in Canada. So we've got that one, the Toronto Street Course, and the other ones that have been mentioned. Let's see. It's a very fast banked short track. The Piney Series runs there. Pinty's. I keep saying it wrong. I'm gonna look it up again. I look it up, I feel like once a month, so I can forget once again once the live stream starts. Molten Rage says, "Goat, not a joke." Seriously, I'm sorry if I talk about David Reagan, but he's the GOAT. Okay, I got you. So Molten also a David Reagan fan. So yeah, David Reagan was good. He just never sat in like the best stuff. Unfortunate, but he was definitely a good driver. He won't get to the Hall of Fame, but he's definitely well respected. He's sort of in that Dick Trickle realm. Dick Trickle, one of the best drivers who he just got the cup too late. One of those deals. When is Dodge coming back to NASCAR? Says Mariah Hall. The earliest it would be 2024, Mariah. So 2024, probably if it's going to happen, they would make some type of announcement in 2023. So next year they would make an announcement. Then the earliest they could come back would be 2024 if it happens. Mr. Pibb with a shot of Jack or Captain Morgan. Not bad. C. Carey. In my 20s, that was definitely part of my life. Not gonna lie about it. Drew Chronic, Pinties, Pinties. I'm gonna have to look it up again, Drew Chronic. I'm just not good at phonetics. Pinties. I'm gonna go with Pinties. I feel like Pinties is what we're going with here. I'm not reading in our RAV4, says Dave the Stalker. Imagine if BMW bought the M5 to NASCAR, making jokes about the electric series going to be SUVs. They probably will be. That's probably where the Ford Mustang 3 or whatever that thing is going to run. Drew Chronic says, Lep Savage, boys. Lep Savage. All right. I can't. Yeah. Y'all are killing me with the words today. I barely speak English. You hear my accent, right? Molten Rage says, no, he's the GOAT. Kentucky has soda. It's called Ale8. It's better than Mountain Dew. They also got something called Ski near Kentucky too. SKI. It's some type of soda. I have yet to have, but it is in a Kentucky Headhunter song. I want a slaw burger, fries, and a bottle of Ski. So check that one out. Dave the Stalker with the unhappy face, the mint and the face. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened there. I probably me struggling with the Piney series. Maybe, I'm not sure. But appreciate it, Dave. Whatever I was struggling with, I apologize. I'm doing my best. Seriously, just joking. Reagan is a beast on super speedway, says Ratcliffe. Regan is Deegan's driver coach, says Mark Barnum. Yeah, that's for sure. For those of you who didn't know that, David Reagan is Haley Deegan's driver coach. David Reagan to SHR 10. Please let him come back full time. I don't know if he wants to come back full time, but he might do some one-offs. He's pretty happy with retirement right now. David Land brought up a good point. Kyle Busch might be able to run the Indy 500 now. Yeah, he actually posted something and said, any Chevrolet team that wants to make it happen, let's make it happen. And he even said the only reason it hasn't happened yet is because my previous boss wouldn't let me do it. So there still seems to be some animosity between him and Joe Gibbs from that statement over Joe Gibbs not letting him run the Indy 500. It sounds like something he's always wanted to do and hasn't got a chance to do yet. I'm happy with the move for Kyle. I'm a diehard Kyle fan, and I don't like Toyota, so I'm a happy camper now, says Mariah Hall. That seems to be a lot of people. Somebody brought up something the other day. There's a lot of closet Kyle Busch fans who weren't pulling for him just because they're either Ford or Chevy guys, and they didn't want to pull for a Toyota. So that could be part of the effect you're seeing here as well. Mark Barnum says David Reagan is her driver's coach. Yeah, David Reagan is the driver's coach. David Gilliland is the car owner or the truck owner. Michael Honeychuck is Pinty's series. So all right, we're narrowing it down. Pinty's. That sounds right. That feels right. That feels like the last time I said it right. It was Pinty's. So Pinty's series, they make chicken wings. If you're in Canada and you want some really good chicken wings, get some Penny's chicken wings, hot wings, whatever you want to call them. John Smathers, it would be crazy if RCR got GM to sponsor the 8 car. I think, well, they've had Chevrolet parts and stuff like that, and in that press release or whatever, that press conference they had, they actually said this wouldn't have been possible without help from General Motors and Chevrolet. So I fully expect General Motors and Chevrolet to be on that car in some capacity for some races. So I think you will see it. Dave, the Super Stalker, Super Sticker Bud, keep up the good work. I appreciate it, Dave. I thought you were just picking on me because I couldn't pronounce Pinty's series properly. I like Haley Deegan. They are not going to rush her. Bravo, says Drew Chronic. Yeah, I think as long as she just takes her time and develops, doesn't put a time clock on it, just takes her time and develops into a good race car driver or a better race. She's a good race car driver now, a better race car driver than she is now. I think for sure that is the right move. Ty Gibbs to the 18. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's 100% what's going to happen. I don't even need to see a release on that. We all know Ty Gibbs is going to that 18, and if he doesn't go to that 18, I'll be very shocked. Not going to make any bets about shaving my head or beard or anything like that, but because I almost lost that bet on Ryan Blaney when he wrecked on like the first lap and almost unlocked himself from the playoffs. I have a Camaro, so my weekend car, and a Civic as my work car. So I wouldn't be opposed to Honda coming to NASCAR. Yeah, all the Hondas I've had have been pretty easy to work on, so I like them. Probably the two easiest cars I've ever worked on has been a Honda and a Mazda Miata. So those are really easy cars to work on. If you're just getting into mechanicking and working on cars, those are pretty easy to put together. They do a good job engineering them to be easy to work on. Molten says, I'm so sorry. I genuinely cannot stop talking about David Reagan. I don't know why I became such a big fan of him about 5 years ago. I don't know. I'm sorry, but I need to stop talking about the GOAT. It's Molten. It's all right, Molten. Talk about whatever you want to, brother. Anybody talk about whatever you want to. It's all good. As long as it's racing. Obviously, I don't like getting into politics and all that crap. Let's see. As in Pinties. I keep messing it up. I'm just going to stop saying it because I can't get it right. Pinties. It's the Pinties series. And they make chicken wings, and they're good. And you go get them at whatever. I used to know the name of that grocery store in Canada, but I forgot it. Canada has a specific grocery store, but it is what it is. Let's see. Our Toyotas have been the most reliable cars we have ever had. The RAV4. Oh, yeah, Toyotas are super reliable. No doubt about that. Let's see. The RAV4. I had a Corolla that was. I never had a problem out of it. I could have ran that thing probably 300,000 miles without any issues. The Solara was 2000. The RAV4, and obviously the Camry and the Corolla are the two they sell the most of, and never have any problems out of those normally. Outside of a few years where they had some weird stuff going on. Z2000, it could be Rolex. Yeah, Rolex could be on that car as a sponsor as well. In case you forgot, the 1 and the 15 swapped crew chiefs, says Douglas Serrano. Yeah, Haley Deegan's crew chief is now Jerry Baxter, former the guy that got the wins with Bubba Wallace in the Truck Series. So Haley Deegan should turn it around here pretty soon and start looking better. Let's see. Dave the Stalker, Subarus are kind of infamous for blowing head gaskets right at about 100,000 miles too, by the way, RJ. Yeah, and what makes that worse is they are boxer engines, so the pistons go sideways. So they're not fun to work on. Ask anybody. Drew Chronic says, Miata Cole, good little race car. Yeah, no doubt about it. I do have one sitting in my yard that needs to be worked on. So it is what it runs. I just got to put tags on it and give it a little tune up. But it possibly at some point where it'll either get sold or made into a race car. That's its future. So Petty GMS will be Dodge in 24, and Eric Jones gets the title, says C. Carey. Could be. Every time Dodge has come back, Petty has gone to him. But GMS is pretty stout Chevy people, so GMS has a more controlling interest. So I don't think they would go to Dodge just because GMS is a Chevy team, basically. I had a Honda 50cc, awesome mini bike. Yeah, they make really good bikes too, by the way. Robin Marks with that one. Ever driven a Honda Civic Type R bologna burger? No, I haven't. But the last time I went to VIR, I parked. I had a Honda Civic hatchback at the time, and I parked it. And when I was coming back, somebody with a Type R, exactly like mine, exact same color, except his was a Type R, parked right beside me just to let me know that my car sucked. So so that was pretty funny. I always remember that. And I took pictures of his car because it was awesome. Yeah, those Type R's are pretty dope. I like them. Isn't BMW talking Cup series? LOL. Just say the chicken wing series. I will from here on out, Michael Honeychuck. I'm going to get that name right eventually. In the off season, I'm just going to watch nothing but chicken wing series racing. That's what we're calling it from here on out. The Canadian Chicken Wing Series, where the Dodge Challenger is the only car in there. That's what we're going with from now on. I don't know about BMW, but Volkswagen was going to get into Cup at one point, but then Dieselgate happened and they had to pull out. But Volkswagen was really close to coming into Cup. Not a lot of people know that. Maybe 2016-ish, somewhere in there. Chevrolet needs to step it up in the truck series. Douglas Serrano says, well, they just stepped it up. They got KBM. So they should be good for next year, I would imagine. Okay, let's see. Dave the Stalker, in our NASCAR league in GT7, I'll be switching from the Supra to the Lexus RCF to the 8 Vet for next season. I'm so disappointed with today's events. Dave the Stalker, yeah, you got to learn a whole new car too. The Vet's going to drive a little bit different than the Lexus RC, I would imagine. So I don't know, man. If it's a mid-engine, it'll drive different, I should say. So that'll definitely be something to adjust to. Those mid-engine cars are snappy. Like when they go around, you don't get a whole lot of feel. They just when they jump out, they jump out. I remember that from Forza. I don't know exactly which league you're playing in, but on Forza they were super snappy. I hated the Honda. I drove the Honda NSX, not the old one, but the new one that they have now, and that thing was just snappy. I never could get a feel for it. The thing would snap around a lot. I'm going to the Chicken Wing Series Championship race this September at Delaware. That's going to be awesome. Blip 5555. That's going to be awesome. Jason Ratcliffe. Chicken Wing is the name of the grocery store. Chicken wing items are like great value at Walmart store brand. Yeah. So, well, I don't know. I don't know why I thought it was chicken wings. Either way, they're now the Chicken Wing Series. That's what they are. So I do miss the combos paint scheme. Says Z200. Yeah, that was a good one. And I always liked how randomly they would throw the Pedigree one on there too, because Mars Milky Way owns the Pedigree company too. The Pedigree never had a great paint scheme. As good as the M&Ms and as good as the combos and as good as Skittles were, Pedigree just never figured it out with their particular paint scheme. I'm not a Bubba Wallace fan, but the Doodle in Victory Lane, I think he won me over because I had the dog. Okay, the Labradoodle. They are the most lovable dogs on earth, says Angus 420. Yeah, he posts that dog all the time. Him and his girlfriend or fiance, she's fiance now. They post pictures of the dog all the time. So if you follow him on Instagram, you see quite a few pictures of the dog. Definitely has a lot of personality, and definitely they love that dog to death, no doubt about that. Also, Eric Jones, if you follow Eric Jones and his buddy Oscar, he posts a lot of pictures of Oscar. Oscar's a German Shepherd, and that is Eric Jones' sidekick. Oscar's pretty famous on the Eric Jones Instagram as well, so check those two out if you like dogs and are a race car fan. Put a V8 in that MX-5 Miata, says Dave the Stalker. Have thought about it, no doubt about it. Wouldn't lose any space. I would actually gain some space. So I have thought about it. The Z200, a combos paint scheme on the number 8 would be pretty cool. Yeah. I had a blue Honda Montreal 50cc. Memories, says Drew Chronic. Yep, for sure. And it is this at this point, I should mention, we haven't had a lot of Yugo or Ute talk. So if you want to get your Yugo and Ute talk in, this is about the hour that starts trickling in. With 15 minutes to go here before I sign off. So if you want to talk about Australian sport Utes and Yugos, go ahead and get those comments in now. Christopher Bell is collecting a lot of points, no doubt about it. Christopher Bell has been the most consistent of the playoffs thus far by just not wrecking or having a bad day. I think RCR is doing Reddick, and he's also had good runs, by the way, also. So I think RCR is doing Reddick a favor. They could just pay his salary and then park him just so Denny doesn't get him early. Don McLeese says, I think so too, but I think it would be a PR disaster if they did that. It would just look so petty. But they definitely could do it, and it would be a move you could make if you really wanted to stick it to Denny Hamlin. So I wouldn't be as mad at Tyler Reddick as I would be at Denny Hamlin, because Denny Hamlin is old enough to know how that press conference was going to go. So I wouldn't direct all that anger about the timing of it necessarily at Tyler Reddick so much as I would at Denny Hamlin. But that's just me from my perspective. But once again, Denny Hamlin has every right to go get any race car driver he wants to. I'm just saying he would be the one that's older and had the knowledge in that situation. But it is what it is. He's a new team owner too, so you could possibly say he doesn't necessarily have that knowledge. So it is what it is. KBM trucks coming back. That's cool, says Drew Chronic. Yeah, for sure. They're going to be Chevrolets, so that'll be awesome. And I think originally they were Chevrolets. I think the first 51 he ran was a Chevrolet Silverado as well. NASCAR was in talks with a lot of car marks. BMW was one of them. You are right about that, RJ Bansma, because I remember back in the day, BMW tweeted something out or commented to a NASCAR tweet. So you are right. They were talking to BMW at one point. Vet is loose in the rear end, and we don't have the C8 in the game yet. Okay, so you're good. You still got the front engine one. Yeah, you really have to. You have, at least in Forza. Like I said, I don't know necessarily what you're playing. In Forza, you had to get really aggressive with the air pressures to make them stick. I had to start my pressures really low. That was really the only thing I could ever do to sort of get the rear end to behave on those cars. But even then, once you burn off the gas, just got to be real careful with the throttle. Just not KBM, Rackley War Racing, GMS, Nice, Young's Motorsports. Yeah, but I would say KBM is a step above all of those. But those are definitely good, solid teams. KBM and GMS are probably your best bet for Chevrolets in the truck series, getting consistent wins. And Nice is right there as long as Carson Hocevar is in the car. Nice, we've seen Nice be able to win with really good drivers, but then you put sort of a regular driver that above average talent, but not necessarily a Ross Chastain or a Carson Hocevar, and those drivers have not looked super great in Nice equipment. So it sort of is what it is. Truck Series is one of the last great bastions where the driver can make up 10 spots still. So that's the cool thing. I like to watch in the Truck Series, or at least I used to before they became wreck fests. So it is what it is. Honda generators are top of the food chain. I agree with that, old home guy, 100%. They just cost a lot, but it's because of the quality. Petty GMS only switches to Dodge if Dodge provides the team a lot of support. Ryan Perez, I agree with that, because GMS has been they've been super Chevrolet based, 100%. We need more nice guys in the garage like David Gilliland, David Reagan, and I lost my spot. David Reagan, Eric Amarola, and then rude, over and aggressive guys will wreck you, even though you race them respectfully. Yeah, there's always going to be some type of mix of that, though, Moulton. 100%. I always love the simplicity of the Aris paint schemes. Aris did have some good paint schemes. I agree with you, Jonathan W. I did like those orange Aris cars. Even the one Suarez had toward the very end of Aris's run with Toyota there. I did like all of those. What about Moxie for soda? I've actually never heard of Moxie, so I'll have to Google that one when I get off here, Philip Canavan. Yeah, I don't even know where they make that one, so you'd have to let me know where they make it. I'll Google that one later. I drive a 2006 GTO before my buddy totaled it a few weeks later. That car was quick. Yeah, those GTOs are that's a Holden. Just for who doesn't that's a Holden Monero, the Pontiac GTO we got over here. I was talking about if you want to get your Holden Ute talk or Yugo talk in, this is the time to do it. So that's where that comment came from. Can we talk about a serious dark horse in Daniel Suarez this year? Everyone's counted him out of serious runs, but he keeps. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And now it's jumped up, and I lost who said that. I apologize. But yeah, Daniel Suarez is definitely going to be a threat in this thing. Rest in peace, Pontiac, says Dave the Stalker, for sure. Will NASCAR ever bring back the Kentucky track? Says Mariah Hall. I don't know, but I hope they do, and I hope they reconfigure it into something else. Dave the Stalker, GM, also killed off Holden. Yeah, every auto manufacturer. I talked about this last week. Every auto manufacturer killed off their Australian brands or their Australian manufacturing in the case of Ford, which just really stinks because Australians made some really, really cool cars over the course of time. I really loved playing. I would always race a Holden or a Ford Falcon. A lot of times in Forza, I just liked them because I never saw those cars over here, and I was a big Australian V8 supercar fan, so I would always pick those cars any chance I got to, whatever league I was racing in. Uh, when is a NASCAR game update, says Mr. McMillams. They're working with another company to get another NASCAR game coming, so it's probably going to be a while. Breakfast with Rickfest, says Dave the Stalker. Moxie is very popular up north. I had it when I was in Maine in 2020. Okay, so up north, I need to look up there. I've only been as far as, I can't remember which one's higher, Brooklyn or Philadelphia. I think that's as high up north as I've been. So I don't know. I don't know. I haven't quite made it to Maine yet. Let's see. I could see Eric Jones and Noah Gregson breaking out next year, like Trackhouse did this year, says Cassandra Keller. Yeah, for sure. Noah Gregson's one of those guys. He's when he breaks out and figures it out, he's going to break out and figure it out. There's no doubt about it. Let's see. Carson Hocevar is got to be the most heartbroken driver of all time. Yeah. Carson Hocevar finished second again, but I think he did everything he could. Didn't have a race winning truck this time, but he had the best strategy to try to pull up an upset on that Ford truck. Do you think KB will win a championship at RCR, says John Crane? He will have a chance. It's hard to say because championships are so hard in this playoff format. He will have just as good a chance as anybody, though, because I think RCR is fast this year, whereas previously, I would agree with people. RCR has been off. This year, they have been spot on. So I would say RCR, he'll have a good chance going forward with RCR with this new type of car, no doubt. RJ Bansma says, Danny B, one of my grandmas is originally from Maine. That's where part of my accent came from. RJ Bansma is talking. I missed some comments. I had to scroll down. So missed that one. DeLorean's making a comeback. Yeah, I saw that. DeLorean's got like an electric car or something. They got two of them, I think. So that's cool. There is a Netflix documentary on John DeLorean, 2 or 3 of them. Pretty interesting stuff there. Dodge brings back the Pacer nameplate and becomes a NASCAR pace car. That would be pretty funny. I think Rackley War and Matt DiBenedetto will be better next year. Hopefully, Douglas Serrano says, yeah, Matt DiBenedetto has helped build that team up. If you remember, the best finish Josh Berry could get with it, and we know Josh Berry's a pretty good race car driver. Best finish he could get with that car was an 11th. Matt DiBenedetto has helped build that team to where they're consistently running top 5 now. So that's definitely a good situation. KFB should have at least 2 more championships in the next 8 years before Brexton gets in Cup, says David Stalker. He definitely could be, but all I'm saying is this playoff system is so hard it's so hard to pick a champion. If it was like season-long points, I would have no problem making that prediction, no doubt about it. John Hunter Nemechek may have won Kansas, but Carson Hocevar won the fans' hearts. I agree with that, Moulton. He's the people's champ of that race, no doubt about it. Moulton, Douglas Serrano, Hocevar was going to win, but he had old tires and ran out of gas. Yeah. Well, I think they made a good strategy call because that was the only way he was going to win the race, Douglas. He didn't have the speed to actually beat John Hunter Nemechek. So they threw a Hail Mary and almost pulled it off, but he ran out of gas. So that cost him. Have you ever been to Michigan and had Faygo pop? I have had Faygo, but I did not go to Michigan to get it. I forget where. I was in Indianapolis. When I had it, but I have had Faygo. Figo. I don't know exactly how you say it, but I have had it. It is pretty good. So yes, I have had that one, but I have not been to Michigan. Michigan is somewhere I need to go. Maybe do some ice fishing or something wild, something very something I couldn't do down here. I would want to do up there. KB will win a championship, says Cassandra Keller. I mean, I hope so. I'm an RCR fan, but like I said, the playoffs, it's just impossible to pick a champion, in my opinion. I grew up in Orange County myself. I miss Hillsboro a lot, says RJ. Yeah, that track's really cool. Hillsboro is super cool. Carrboro, that surrounding area, it's just a really cool feel to it, no doubt about it. Moxie is from Maine, and it tastes like black licorice. It sucks, says Tom Irvin. That being said, I'll have to give it a try. I drank plenty of things that taste like black licorice with a deer head on it back in the day, so I'm not going to pretend like I don't like that flavor. Dave the Stalker, Hillsboro, North Carolina, by the way, says RJ. I'm from Chicago, South Burbs originally, and now I'm across the lake in Buchanan, Michigan. Redbud. There you go. Dave the Stalker. RJ says, I know some people from Chicago. Small world. Everybody knows everybody, man. All I can say about Michigan is we are Yankee Florida. I'm excited to see Busch in the 8 car. And so freaking frustrated. I remember that race, says Molten Rage. Where are you racing this week? We are testing this week, getting ready for the last race. And Craig and Jason Barnes are going to run Martinsville. So we're getting ready for the big Martinsville race. You can see the excitement on my face for going to Martinsville. It's a really fun race if you're a fan to watch. So definitely go watch it as a fan. It is not a fun race to work because just so much pressure. There's so many cars there. And typically they all get tore up in the heat races. So I'm dreading it. I'm hoping it'll be a really fun experience. But every time I've gone up there, we've wrecked or the car is broken. I've told you guys about my Martinsville experiences. They have not been fun. They've been fun as a fan watching cup races. I've not had a good experience on the late model side of it. Hopefully this will change all that and it will be a good experience. But those are the next races. And I'm getting ready. I'm getting my car ready for Orange County for the last race at Orange County. I'll be running in the Charger class. Obviously, I'll try to make a video about that. So it is what it is. But with that, I think I'm gonna call it here. I appreciate y'all, you guys, for hanging out. And as always, thanks for your time. Peace.